Hi, my name is JT Keith, and welcome to another edition of Eastern Express. Today, my guest is Lone Star Commissioner Stan Wagnon.
Hi there.
Hi, thanks for coming. Can you give us any breaking news? Is there any new sports, anything on the horizon that we don't know about yet?
Well, it's a good time to be in the Lone Star Conference. We are excited to have just wrapped up our football season,
Sure.
and of course, Eastern New Mexico is happy to have shared the championship. We've got really the biggest thing coming up with the conference is we've got our volleyball championship this weekend. And then we'll shift our focus to the spring with our indoor track and field championship, which will be back out in this area in Lubbock. And then, of course, our basketball championship in Allen, which is near Dallas. And so those are two exciting things we're looking forward to with the conference. Probably the biggest news, I guess you'd say, out of the conference is that starting next fall in football, we'll have a new member. McMurray University out of Abilene will be joining us. That'll give us 8 football teams. And we're going to start a new schedule with those 8 football teams. There's been a lot of change in Division II, and a lot of the conferences aren't playing nearly as many non-conference games as they used to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a 7-game regular season, so everybody plays each other once like normal.
Okay.
And then the last 2 weeks of the regular season, we'll use those to have a conference playoff, which is really going to be unlike anything we've ever done and really unlike anything anyone's ever done, to have a multi-round conference playoff in football. And so the idea there is that with those 8 teams, they're going to break off into 2 brackets, 4 teams in one and 4 teams in the other.
Okay.
And so, the championship bracket, that first week, the number 1 seed will host the number 4 seed, and then the number 2 seed will host the number 3 seed, and then the winners will play in the next week. They'll play for the conference championship, and the losers will play for 3rd place. Same thing's going to be happening in the other bracket, and they'll end up playing for 5th place and 7th place. And so the real purpose is that it gives our teams, all 8 of them, 2 more games close to home, and it really kind of solves the issue of who are we going to play.
Right.
Because there's not a whole lot of schools out there willing to play us in the non-conference. So we're excited about that. It's going to be different. There's some positives, some negatives, but all in all, it's a good solution to the problem we're faced.
Sure. And then how's that going to affect the rankings and the ratings and stuff, sir?
I think that remains to be seen a little bit. The downside of it is that our teams, when you're in conference play, every time you get a win, you also get a loss,
Sure.
because you're playing within the conference. So that's the downside. So our top 4 teams are probably the only 4 that are going to be in consideration for the playoffs.
Okay.
And so the downside is, there's going to be a couple of losses, 2 losses each week that will occur among those teams, which will hurt their chances. But the same could be said no matter who they're playing. It's just the probability of losing increases when you're playing yourself.
Sure.
So that's the downside. The good thing is by putting them into 2 different brackets, the top 4 teams are going to be playing the better teams.
Okay.
And that allows them to enhance their strength of schedule, which is one of the criteria used for selection. On the other side, teams 5 through 8, they're not worried about the playoffs. They want to end the year on a good note.
Yes, sir.
And so by giving them a game against someone in the lower half of the conference, they're going to have a better chance at getting a win or 2 in the last 2 weeks and going into the offseason recruiting on a high note. So I think there's going to be some give and take. There again, Division II is changing, and the days of us getting 3 teams into the playoffs are probably gone. We're now in a region, a super region, with the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, the Great Lakes Intercollegiate, and the Great Lakes Valley. And so out of those 4 conferences, only 6 teams get to go to the playoffs.
Okay.
This year, for example, we only got 1.
Right.
The Great Lakes Intercollegiate got 3. The GLVC 1 and the RMAC 1. And so, I don't think this is going to be a situation where it's going to keep us from getting 1 team in. Is it likely to get 3 teams out of this system? Probably not, but it's not likely to get 3 teams again anyway.
Okay.
So it really is about solving a problem, and we hope that it doesn't hurt our chances. But at the end of the day, while we'd like to have 3 teams in, what we really want as a conference is 1 team to advance all the way and win the national championship.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Sure. And then so you're saying that we'll have to face 2 teams twice, play at least 1 team twice then.
Yeah, there'll be two teams that from the conference that you'll end up playing twice as it plays out.
Okay.
So it's an 11-week season in Division II.
Okay.
Basically, the way it'll work is the first week and the second week, our schools will be left to schedule their own opponents.
Okay.
And so for Eastern New Mexico, they'll probably try to play Highlands and someone else nearby that will get them primed for the conference season. And then weeks 3 through 9, there will be opportunity to play all the conference games one time, and then we'll see what the standings look like. We'll seed it for the conference playoffs. Week 10 will be the first part of the conference playoffs, and week 11 will be the last part.
Okay.
We'll see where it stands, who gets into the NCAA playoffs. They'll advance, and then we've got some bowl affiliations, and some teams will have opportunity for postseason through that. So at the end of the day, each of our 8 football teams will have 9 games played within the conference.
Okay.
So there will be 5 teams they play once and 2 teams they play twice.
Excellent.
Which is better than going into the season knowing that you're going to play everybody twice.
Sure.
I realize everybody doesn't want to do that.
Right.
This way, it at least kind of compartmentalizes to where the good teams are playing the good teams twice, and the teams that are not having as much success that year are playing teams like them as well.
Sure. And then you have a lot of things going on. Can you talk about the Dallas Football Festival? You've renewed that for another 3 or 4 years, correct?
Yeah, this was the first year of a 3-year agreement. So we started in 2011, we did it again in 2012, and both of those were 1-year agreements with the Cowboys. And so we had so much success and enjoyed it so much the first 2 years that this third time around we decided to go ahead and do a 3-year contract. So 2013 was the first of that, and so we've got 2 more that we know will be there. It's been a great event for our schools, not just for the football teams and the student athletes to get to compete in the greatest stadium in the world, but even for our universities, the alumni associations, the development office, even the presidents have been able to use that to reconnect with key alums, to entertain people on the Board of Regents, state senators. There's been a lot of use for people across campus to use that to not just promote the athletics, but to really champion the entire university. And so it is in effect turned out to be a homecoming-like event.
Okay.
It's different, but it's a marquee event that each of our universities can use in that Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is so important to all of us because no matter how far you are from Dallas-Fort Worth, each of our LSC institutions has a big alumni base there, and each of our LSC institutions recruit students there, whether they're student athletes or not. So it's an important market for all of us, and this event has really helped us to gain some key visibility there, and it's been great for our football teams too.
Sure. And then can you tell us about, a lot of people know that we have the Lone Star Conference television on Dallas Southwest now?
Yeah, on Fox Sports Southwest.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and so what we've tried to do the last couple of years is really enhance the brand of the Lone Star Conference and increase the value of the conference. And we've seen conference membership come and go, and we know that people are making choices about what conference they're in. And of course, we've seen some change in our league. And so what we've tried to do is really do some things as a group that would make us an attractive destination for people to come and be a part of it. And so we've now for 2 years have had a partnership with Fox Sports Southwest to where we have a quarterly television show that recaps all the various action of the conference. And so the one in the end of summer will preview the football season, and the one at the end of the fall semester will recap the fall championships, and then we do the same thing after the basketball championship and the same thing after the spring. And so it's a great opportunity for our people to get exposure. But then we've also done some web streaming events, a live championship action on the Fox Sports Southwest website, which is a very visible website in the DFW area and throughout the region. And then we've done some advertising with them for our football festival and our basketball championship. And I'll tell you what the real value has been is that it's got our name out there to where now Comcast Sportsnet in Houston has approached our conference and said, hey, we want to be a part of what you're doing. And so that we've signed an agreement with them, and they're going to do 7 of our athletic events in live HD television in the Houston market this year. They've already done a football game. They're going to do 3 basketball games and 3 of our spring championships. And so that's great exposure for us. They've also come on with a monthly television show about the conference. And so all in all, we're we're just, as a conference, trying to add value to each of our individual schools. All of our schools can do a great job of reaching out to their own community. What we can do as a conference is expand on that and get them exposure as a group in key markets.
Sure. And then finally, real quick, in the last 20 seconds, what is your vision for the Lone Star moving forward?
Well, I mean, we want to be the premier conference in Division II, and I think that means we want to graduate student athletes, so I want to see some improvement in our academic success rates. It means we want to win national championships, and so we're trying to set up our teams to have success on the field or on the court. And ultimately, we've got to have a healthy membership to do that. So I want to see us get more stable with our membership and then go about seeing those other two goals come to fruition.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my guest today, Stan, and welcome to another edition of Eastern Express.